all along. So you know
Hey,
what?
shoot!
Let's see here.
Yeah, I literally spent 5 hours.
How many hours?
5. I started at 6.
Here we go.
I was just kidding. 5 hours.
Was it 10? 5 hours?
2 hours.
No,
Whoa.
there's so much. Everything was
I don't care what chicken.
Sorry about me, Jacob.
I just replayed my CD.
I was just playing along.
I don't really keep calls. So I got 5 hours.
I really? It just gets funnier every time. It's like you need to stretch. Actually, honestly, that's truly what that's tight. No, you don't. Actually, you were sweeter than I thought. Wait, it's I wouldn't take it as a
Yeah. When I broke my knee. What? What?
Yes, my spot.
Oh,
That is how it works. What you do?
I tore carpal tunnel Monday.
Am I doing over there, baby? I think Laura? Sarah, is Laura
They
next to
cut
you?
it out and they had to drill my knee.
You know we're down there, so you're breaking down that spot?
It was a full tear.
Yeah.
Oh, you do like.
They cut it
I
out.
got lucky.
Yeah.
I got lucky.
It could be 2 weeks recovery, or it could be like month and a half. Okay, cool.
It's like a 2 week if you get it removed. Like it's like a week, a month, and whatever.
Yeah, it's like a month and 2 weeks. I wake up and like, guess what?
Yeah, 2 weeks.
Bruce, where are we
Dude,
going?
that's so it was so torn, like it was just a complete tear.
You showed me, yeah, it was like, you showed me like an X-ray picture, like.
Yeah, see, I got lucky. I just got a lucky tear. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's no such thing. My dog is like the worst. I guess I got it's probably not
It's been, slowly doing more stuff.
you got like no cushion between your knees. Or did they put some reason?
Okay, so how it works, so they cut it out, right? So the reason why they drilled the kneecap,
He doesn't.
because it to increase the blood, and it starts growing. So
How's it been?
it's regrowing back.
I don't know. Sometimes I wonder.
They still take well over.
I can tell. So I always feel burning.
Is it my food? Give me my food.
Could be.
Like this is the first time I'm doing like.
That's real good.
You know,
Smell it right here.
ever since I had COVID, I
I hope it's not burning right here.
Smile before I
oil. It's just.
was 5.
No, I think it's.
So, and I was a lot smaller.
I'm
Alright.
crazy, bro.
So, yeah, I did pretty.
You got this?
Started seeing what you said. 'Cause I did give it I like wrestling. I didn't
What's it because of my dad?
No, I just didn't like tennis. Sorry, your dad's fault, but your dad was helpful.
You got 3 minutes to eat your game.
How much games you got?
You start class in 3 minutes.
How much games you
You
got?
got 3 minutes to eat it.
You got
His ability to eat all that food in 3 minutes.
No, I'm just telling him yes. I saw it saying already.
Yeah. Hey, put the candy into the box combo.
Because eating games in class.
Why would you put the candy in the combo? You got the candy in combo, no.
It's only a distraction if you make a distraction.
Yeah, it's not distracting.
Now you get one.
You get the king of combo, no coleslaw, extra toast, and 2 extra king sauce on the side. That
So you just match it up.
That's the way it
You
was.
couldn't tell about it. Actually, they do it.
Oh, do they know that?
Yes.
Blood, sweat, tears.
Blood, sweat, and tears.
Where should I be?
I hope you didn't put blood, sweat, and tears.
You
in
can
that.
just put it by your classroom.
I can't, Laura.
Hey, you got, what? 2 minutes, make sure cake.
They're cake balls.
Oh, Dougie's.
You want to make
Lauren, so here's your convincing. You're like, oh.
You know what? Here, you want one?
No, and then you're like, I poured all my blood, sweat, and tears into it.
No, I was
And you're
very,
expecting
I
me,
was.
like, now I wanna eat it?
Right.
Like, what?
Your blood and your sweat.
I was very, very close to crying though when the cake went to go back. I was like super close to crying. I'm like.
Why is my jaw so straight? I don't understand.
Why are you putting it in front of me?
Eat it.
It's really good. I made everything from scratch.
Cook it down.
Even the flour, she was weaving it.
What's all in it? What's all in it?
Why is it
Through the lemon.
She was trying to like moral pestle.
No, I wonder all your sweat.
They turned out good stuff. I don't know, I don't know.
It's just vanilla cake and lemon chocolate. Why would you put
Back in 2005. The lemon tree. The lemon sprouted.
Or you got less than a minute to finish the
12,
cake.
exactly 12.
We like the flat one.
I can keep them in line.
Oh, I know. I'm not worried about that.
I don't think.
All right, Lauren, let's see.
Alright, we're gonna get started.
Thank you. I didn't know when the schedule was, that you were sharing your testimony today.
Yeah, a lot of people did.
So that was scheduled before we even knew, so that's great. Okay, so this is Life Skills Log Tuesday afternoon. It won't normally be Coed, but today is Coed. We are gonna talk about communication. I have a special guest speaker to introduce you to. This is Gary Landreth. He is a professor at UNT. He is a dear friend who knows me all too well. We met at Reengage. So he has a background in counseling, and I do as well. So there's lots of convicting comments. He's a great accountability partner. His wife and he are dear to my husband and I. So enjoy. He's going to lead us through some communication exercises. You're up.
Okay, I think the first thing I'd like to hear from you all is, what was I just thinking? You guys are some weird kids.
That there is no way we'll guess what you're thinking. Is that what you were thinking?
You were thinking about nothing.
No.
I think you were waiting for us to listen to you.
That would be a good one, though.
Yeah, you'll be waiting for a long time.
I know.
Wow.
What was I just thinking?
Well, we can't really tell that you're thinking. You're very impassive in your body language. You're just very passive, so it's a little hard to tell. You weren't giving up any signs, you weren't showing any sense of anxiety or agitation.
Also, I haven't known you.
There was no communication.
I was thinking, where should I start?
And why did you say it?
Because it felt like it was too obvious.
What other reasons might there be you wouldn't have said what you need?
What I wouldn't have said? I don't know, because I didn't know. I just was assuming that you were thinking about where to start on communication.
Well, I'm wondering why you didn't share that.
I didn't feel the need to. Yeah.
How many of you all already knew that about
Mason.
Mason? So there would be something to be learned about you, Mason. And I find myself wanting to encourage you, not to hold back. Because you see, you were very active. And by sharing that, you would have encouraged others not to hold back. So that would make you, well, I'll check with you guys. If Mason had more freely shared, how would that have encouraged you all?
It would have opened the floor for discussion, maybe?
It always takes one to begin. One person who has the courage to break the ice, because it's a risk. I could be wrong. But it turns out you would have been very right. Risk taker, well, what's the advantage? Describe for me, I'll put that direction. Describe for me a risk taker. Go ahead, you don't have to raise your hand in here, just jump in.
Someone who's not afraid to take that leap, even though they know they can be wrong.
Lauren?
Lack of conscience almost, you don't think before you're not planning it out, you're just doing it, just immediate action after action after action after action. You're not afraid of what other people think of you.
I don't think risk has anything to do with a lack of knowledge, though.
Agreed.
I think sometimes it does.
Sometimes, yeah, but I
You
don't
can
that
know
that's
the
what
danger,
we're
but still do it.
But a lot of times you take the risk of not knowing something.
True.
You have more knowledge of something of how dangerous it is. Sometimes it's more thrilling to go do it.
Well, sometimes
Like
it's
jumping out of
Yeah,
an
I think the word calculated risk wouldn't be a thing if there was a lack of knowledge.
Well, I think it can go both ways.
Well, at that point, it's just ignorance, not risk.
Maybe the important thing is, they're all possibilities. Everything said or named or described, those are all possibilities. Nobody's wrong. Nobody's wrong. Have you ever been told you were wrong?
Yes.
A couple times.
A lot.
Quite
How
often.
many? How many? How does it feel?
Not pretty good.
Sometimes.
Only Evan.
Oh, yeah.
No, depends on what the context is.
I don't know, man. Someone tells me I'm wrong or criticizes me, it's like a sucker punch every single time.
No, not me. They told me I'm wrong, I'm gonna prove them that they're wrong.
Okay, let me follow up. Lauren, it sounds like you take that personally.
Yeah. I do. I don't deal with rejection or criticism, especially from people. It bothers me a lot. I don't like failing.
Because
I don't like the disapproval of people. I'm a huge people pleaser. Yes.
well, have we started?
Indeed.
What have you learned already, Mason?
To take risks.
Drive fast, take risks. Them on the edge, baby.
There are
some risks.
Preach it.
A person who takes risks, probably has what kind of character quality?
adventurous.
Courage.
Adventurous, courage,
They're bold.
what else?
Stupidity.
As
A
in
little
your-
bit.
No.
Oh, yeah.
What other character quality comes to mind?
Faith.
Faith. What else? How about trusting themselves? They trust themselves. And if you trust yourself, it's okay to be wrong because you still trust yourself. That doesn't change that. The trust as a part of risk taking does not change because you're wrong. You still trust yourself. Rule of thumb. You can't give away that which you don't possess. You can't give trust away if you don't trust yourself. You can't trust other people if you don't trust yourself. You can't really, in a fulfilling way, love other people if you don't love yourself. And I don't mean that in a prideful kind of way, but a way that you recognize that who you are is what God has gifted you to be. It's not you that you love yourself in a prideful way. You love yourself in an acknowledging way that I'm who God created me to be. I think the point I'm trying to make is if I, in interacting with one of you before we got started here, if I had inserted into your pocket, no, I don't want to start there. Let me start here. How many of you would like to get up from your chair right now, walk over here, and hand me $1,000 bill?
If I had one of those, I would totally do it.
I kind of broke mine.
I don't think they make those anymore.
If I had it, I would most certainly give it to you though.
Just because I asked it. But what your answers say, you can't give me $1,000.
No.
Why?
Because they don't have it.
I don't have it.
Because you don't have it. However, how about it? Before we got started, I was interacting with one of you, and I slipped into your pocket $1,000 bill, and you don't know it's there. Can you give it to me?
No.
Why not?
Because
Because you don't know what's there.
Because you don't know you have it. And if you don't know, if you don't recognize that you have that, you cannot give it away. Now, can you give trust away if you don't trust yourself?
No.
Can you love another person if you don't love yourself in God's kind of way? No. You can't. You can only give away that which you possess. Even gifts of trust or love or caring. I won't go any further with that. Also, giving a part of yourself away means giving them your attention. That is a gift. Listening is also a gift. You are giving a part of yourself by listening to that other person. And what's the message when you're listening and I mean really listening, I don't mean the casual kind of listening stuff. When you're really listening to another person, what are you giving them?
Your attention?
Attention. And what does that tell them about you and how do you feel about them?
That you care about.
That you care enough about them to pay attention to. What else does it tell? Tell them.
They're loved, they're worthy, they're worthy of your
Yes, they
attention.
are worthy of your attention. Hey, he thinks I'm worthy. And this is not a cognitive thing, this is a felt thing. I don't think anybody ever thinks, oh, he's saying this about me. It's, they take it in and hold on to it emotionally. Communication is largely based on that kind of gift. The other person, when you finish listening, they will know you care enough about them to listen. We're gonna work with that some today. Let me tell you a little bit about me. I grew up in southeast Oklahoma. I went to a high school, it was a rural area. I went to a high school that had a grand total of 75 in the entire high school. That's all 4 grades, 9, 10, 11, 12, 75. In my graduating class, there were 15. Each year, I took a course in agriculture and a course in English and a course in either government or history or some area like that, and had one elective. One of my electives was typing. And it wasn't on this kind of thing. It was a manual. You had to pound the keys hard and make it print. I could type 52 words a minute without mistakes. That was good. You all didn't know it, but that was really good. The only math course I took was Algebra 1. That was it. That's not a very good background for going to college. But I went to college, small college at Durant, Oklahoma, Southeastern State College. There were 1,500 students in the college. How many of you went to a high school that had more than 1,500? Several of you. How many of you went to high school that had more than 1,000? How many of you are like me? You went to a high school with 75 or less, or 100. A number of you in the, I'm sorry?
I was homeschooled.
Homeschool.
Yeah.
Only me, my class.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, I graduated.
Back to me as a person. I went to a one-room, all 8 grades elementary school. Taught by my mother. You can never go home and say, no, I don't have any homework. I think I must have felt like a child said to me was, one of the things I also do is play therapy, which is work with little kids, we don't have the words to sit here and do what we're doing. They can't tell you what they're worried about or thinking about or what has happened to them because they don't have those words to describe it. Toys are children's. From below 10 or 11, they have toys are their words. And play is their language. And we can't communicate with children through their play language. And they can play out their problems in the same way you guys talk out your problems and counsel them. And a little boy said to me once in the middle of he was talking, playing with dolls. He said, my mom is like air. She's everywhere.
How old was he?
He was 5 years old.
Oh, baby.
I think I probably felt that way. That my mother was like air. She was everywhere. She was my teacher all day long. She was around her in the home. I should tell you that we lived in a teachery, what was called a teachery, on the school ground of this large classroom, about the size of this room. Yeah. And out in the middle of it was a big cast iron black stove that heat this room, and it had a stovepipe that went up and hung on wires across the ceiling and went out on the walls. One of the most exciting things in my educational career was the day that thing fell. And it burned.
No.
Not the house, but the wood in the stove, smoke. Now it's going into the classroom. And I thought that was really neat. I grew up, well, I should tell you, the point I'm about to make. We had recess, which was 15 minutes, and we had 30-minute lunch periods. And at recess and lunch, we would run outside, choose up sides, and play softball. Because we got, old ball or two and a few gloves. That was the only playground in the, I think that back there were swings, but everybody can play on the swing. But everybody can play on softball. We would run outside and choose up sides and play softball. And my goal each day before we would run outside to play ball was, today I will be chosen next to last, but not last. And then when I always got chosen last, because everybody in the school, which was about 20 students, everybody knew Gary can't hit the ball past second base if he gets a good hit. But I became an expert bunter. And I was fast. I could beat out a bunch. So the other kids finally figured out how to play defense for me. The outfielders came up and played first, second, and third. And the infielders came up and played with the pitchers. Oh. I could still eat out the bus. My feet saved my life lots of times. Because my motto was, better to run and live than to stand and fight and die. I was not a fighter. My twin brother was a fighter. He was bigger than, when we started high school, my twin brother was, I came up to his shoulder. I didn't start growing until I was in high school. Well, with that kind of background, you would not expect me to be able to handle higher math in college or stat in graduate work. But I worked hard at it. My background history doesn't match what I do today. So I have a rule of thumb for all. History is not destiny. History is not a guarantee or a requirement or a rule that you can only go so far. And I'm evidence of that. And if you had a similar, many of you probably had worse backgrounds than I have. Some of you may have. Not academically, but emotionally. Some of you may have been abused in a group this size. The odds are size 2 or 3 of you would have grown up being abused. That's your history. But that kind of history is meaningless. It does not guarantee anything. History is not destiny. If you don't remember anything else I share with you today, if you'll just remember that one thing, I will feel very satisfied. History is not destiny. You're capable of much more than maybe you think or other people think. And saying that reminds me, who was Clark Kent? How many of you recognize the name Clark Kent?
Superman. It's his alter ego.
What was Superman's background? He was a reporter for what was it, the Daily Globe?
Daily Planet.
Daily Planet, thank you. And his editor, as well as fellow workers, thought Clark Kent, well, I'll ask you all, how would they describe Clark Kent?
He's a bookish nerd.
And so he got what kind of writing assignments?
Boring.
Boring. He would get go visit somebody who did hurt in a car accident. Menial kind of social events he'd get assigned those because his editor thought he was incapable. But when Clark Kent dashed into a telephone booth, he became Superman. I've often thought we should be like telephone booths to people around us. When Clark Kent dashed into the telephone booth didn't say to him, "Why are you here?" Or the telephone booth didn't say to Clark Kent, "I think you better rethink where you're headed." Or, "I don't think you know what you're doing." no comments like that. The telephone booth was very accepting of Clark Kent, and he became Superman. Now, the deeper question is, when did Clark Kent become capable of being Superman?
When you got the costume.
I'm sorry?
No, when he came to Earth.
He was born.
No, but he didn't have
On
powers
Earth,
until he came,
No.
he didn't have powers until he came to Earth because of the different colored suns.
No.
There you go. When he came to Earth, he got his powers.
The powers manifested themselves when he came to Earth.
Yeah.
He had them all.
He
How-
grew.
What was
Depends on
that?
which,
And his powers manifested themselves once he arrived at Earth.
And you added something else that was more important. He already had them. He always was capable of more. Could we apply that to people? One of the things I've learned from working with small children is, and these are troubled children, emotional. They're capable of so much more than their parents think or teachers think. Let me tell you about Daryl. Daryl was 5 years old, referred to our center because he was driving his parents nuts with his extreme dependent behavior. He seemingly couldn't do a thing for himself. He was always in a whiny little voice asking mom to get something for him or dad to tie his shoes or whatever. He'd just get, parents would be seated at the table, not at the table, yeah, son. Daryl would be seated at the table, just get seated, and he would think he needed ketchup, and so he would say, "Would you please get me some ketchup?" And mom would you go get his bottle of in the playroom, I was the supervisor for the play therapist. In the playroom, the play therapist introduced Daryl to the playroom and sat down. And Daryl walked into the middle of the room and said, as he pointed, "Is that a sandbox?" And she said to him, "Must look like a sandbox to you, Daryl." And that began the kind of day it was going to be. He walked over to the sandbox, started to step in it, realized he's got shoes on, stepped back down, looked at her and said, "Would you please untie my shoes so I can take my shoes off?" And she said, "Daryl, in here, if you want your shoes off, you can take them off." He sat down and took his shoes off. It wasn't a matter that he didn't know how to take his shoes off. He got back up, stepped into the sandbox and just stood looking down at the sand for a long time. And then he turned to the play therapist and said, "Is it okay if I sit in your sand?" Sounds like you've got something in mind you want to do, Daryl. The sand is for sitting in if you choose to sit in the sand. So he sat in the sand and he looked at the sand. And then he said to her, "I think I'd like to dig holes in the sand. Is it okay if I dig holes in your sand?" Sounds like you've got something in mind already that you can do there, Dale. The sand is for digging holes in if you want to dig holes in the sand. So he dug some holes in the sand. And then he spied a little blue car right here on the shelf. She's on the other side of the sandbox. He looked at the blue car, looked at her, pointed to the blue car and said, "Would you please hand me that blue car so I can play with it?" And she said, Daryl, in here, if you want the blue car, you can get the blue car. He reached out and got it, it was right there, playing with the blue car, and then he said, I think I'm through playing with your blue car. Is it okay if I don't play in your sandbox anymore? Sounds like you've got something else in mind you want to do there. That's for you to decide. He got up, walked over to a table, and had art supplies on it, picked up a red crayon, quickly dropped it, turned to her and said, is it okay if I play with your crayons? They're there for you to use if you want to use them, Daryl. He picked up the red crayon, dropped it again, and said, I think I want to draw a picture of an apple tree, what color apple trees. Daryl, in here, apple trees can be any color you want apple trees to be. That went on for 45 minutes. I could hardly stand it looking through the two-way mirror. Come back the next week, I want to see what happens to dependent Daryl. It was another 45 minutes of whiny, dependent behavior, just seemingly could not train himself to do anything. Although that second session, I did count 2 times that he actually made a decision, picked up a toy and began to play with it without asking her anything. Third week, still a lot of dependent behavior. I think I counted 15 times that he actually, in 45 minutes, he actually made a decision to pick something up on his own. Like, fourth week, it was about half and half. He was making many more decisions, playing without it in her permission. Fifth session, I'm sitting there waiting for them to arrive, looking through the 2 windows, and I can still see deep in the girl walking ahead of the plate there. He just walked in with a shirt, looked around, and started collecting all the plastic food that would be in a fully equipped plate, and piled it all up in the middle of the table. He stepped back, had his hands on his hips, he was surveying what he had created. And over here, the plate there said, there, Daryl, you did it all by yourself. And he jerked around to her and said, hell yes, lady, I don't need no help. Now, the question is, when did dependent Daryl become capable of that kind of self-assured behavior?
He was always capable of it.
He just said,
He didn't know. He didn't know. It's almost criminal, isn't it? That a child would grow up not knowing what he's capable of. God has put inside each one of us things that we don't yet know what we're for, which are. So we should be responding to each other. How? Should we be communicating to other people?
They're more capable than other people may think. We should believe in them.
And more capable than they think. You're more capable than you think you are.
Mhm.
Rule of thumb. We could use this here, but it's a rule of thumb I use with parents. If you do for a child what the child is capable of doing for herself, you teach her she is weak. If you do for a friend or someone you know at your age, you do for them what they're already capable of doing. You teach them they are weak. You only discover what you're capable of being or doing, you risk trying. It all fits together, doesn't it? You started out talking about risk. When you learn from experiencing, not from being told. This time tomorrow, within 24 hours, you will have forgotten half of what I've told you. 3 days from now, you will have forgotten 3/4 of what I've told you. But what we experience, we remember. You remember your experience. Don't teach people around you that they're weak or helpless. Respond to them in ways that result in them doing things for themselves or digging deeper into themselves for answers. So let's have an experience. I'd like for you to pair up with someone you know least in this group, and I'm going to structure this a bit. Ladies, I want you four to stay together for anything that we do, and the reason for that is you all are a cohort. You're a group all your own. I would be saying this to if I had 15 young ladies and 4 guys. I'd have you stay. This is a way of learning about your group, people in your group. I want to focus on that. So everybody get up and go find somebody you know least in this group.
That's tough.
You may know everybody, but there's one person in here you know least.
Does it have to be a student?
Brandon, you know me
Yes.
very well.
Oh, man.
No. I don't know you very well either.
Sure, go ahead, you'll be.
Why the heck not?
Okay.
We're about figuring it out.
Jacob, do you have a partner yet?
You're all okay.
There's 14 here.
I don't even know your first name.
Probably because you're an observer.
If it is grand.
If we did.
All right, we're going back to just that. This is our little.
What?
I would like for you to interview each other and find out as much as you can about the person you're partnering with in 3 minutes. And here's the structure of the interview. What is your partner's favorite ice cream flavor? Don't find that out now. You gotta remember this. Their favorite ice cream flavor, where did they grow up? How long have they lived in their present home? Not counting this home, just the home you grew up in. How long have you lived there? What do you like to do for fun? What do they like to do? So what are the 3 areas or 4?
Where they grew up.
What was the
Where
fourth
did they
one?
grow up?
How long have they lived in their current house?
How long have they lived in the current house?
And what they do for fun?
What do they really like to do for fun? Okay, you got 3 minutes. And broaden that if you can.
All right. Okay, so you asked the first ice cream.
What's your favorite ice cream? No chocolate chip?
Chocolate chip.
I'm not a fan of milk. Because I had mint Oreos. I was sailing.
Mint Oreos suck.
They are trash.
They are. What's your favorite?
Coffee pecan ice cream. Coffee ice cream's good.
I haven't tried it. I've heard that it's good.
Dude, coffee ice cream's bomb. You gotta try it. And then it's where you grew up, right?
Yeah. I grew up there.
Yeah, where did you grow up?
Was that your first house?
I grew up here. I was.
Yeah, me too. I lived
My family's from. I don't think I was. I'm pretty sure I was born in Texas.
You're pretty sure, or you know? How do you not know where you were born?
Now
Your parents not tell you?
But now you know that about me, right?
You don't remember where you were born?
Yeah. No, I don't remember.
And then y'all grew up in Texas?
Yeah.
So they moved from Oklahoma to Texas, and you don't know where you're born. So you grew up in Texas, and you've been here your whole life?
Yeah. Yeah, I grew up in, which sucks.
Why?
Just where I live. I live.
That's long enough.
I was born here in McKinney for 10 years. Then moved up to Washington, lived there for 9 years.
Okay, everybody, that's long enough. Now, stay with this partner and reverse roles.
Oh, that makes more sense.
What?
Yeah, we've just been having a conversation.
We've been having a
We haven't done it all yet.
We had a wonderful dialogue.
We have more to talk about.
Bears, look around, everybody stand up.
Okay.
And you stay with this partner and go find another pair.
Hey, Kobe, Aiden, come here.
Jacob.
Kobe, we're now. Come over here.
I like the glasses.
You look like
Okay, you can just, don't sit down, just stay.
it's not inappropriate.
I was about to say too.
Okay, there's too many in that group over
No, he
there.
looks like
Oh.
Okay, then that's a big group.
what's it called?
Yeah.
The guy that like turns. Oh,
The guy that turns the light.
you look like
Now,
Terminator.
Just share,
Terminator, yeah.
we're gonna share
There's
this way.
something wrong with you.
You introduce your partner to the group.
This is Mason. He likes like coffee pecan ice cream. He was born in Kenny. And then what? Okay, now I
10 years. Lived here for 10 years. Lived in Washington.
Are you 19?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that.
I'll be 20 in July.
I've been to Kenny once. I saw a bunch of weed and quite a few guns.
Well, I don't know. I lived in a small neighborhood. Well, actually, not that small. There are a lot of neighbors. But we lived like 30 minutes away from
Up on part of town.
from the store. And Dallas, 30 minutes away from Dallas. Yeah, we had to drive like 20, 30 minutes.
Oh, are you saying like country?
Sort of country. It was kind of just neighborhood.
True. Let's go, Karen.
We didn't get to the current house part.
Yeah, this is my. You guys could.
Well, let me introduce Mr. Davis. What's your middle name?
My best friend in the whole wide world.
Jacob Patrick.
It's being live streamed on YouTube.
Yeah, I think so.
With 0 watchers and 0 likes. I don't know why they're live streaming it.
I don't know.
Let me
either.
introduce you to Jacob Patrick Landreth. He grew up in Flower Mountain, Texas.
Flower Mountain. No, Mountain.
With Maddie.
And believe it or not, it's not a mountain of flowers. So I thought that was kind of funny. Now he lives in Lantana, and he's only lived there for a year. And he really doesn't know if he likes the neighbors because he's has one dog, which is a yellow lab, and his mom also owns another dog. And he didn't tell me what type it was, but basically he loves his pet. He's completely just like smitten with this puppy. Okay.
Never said
For
that.
fun, he likes watching football, and he's absolutely obsessed with the Cowboys. Spends thousands of
I did not
dollars.
use the word
Spends
that.
thousands of dollars on Cowboys tickets, and his favorite ice cream flavor is cookies and cream. So,
I did not use the word absolutely or obsessed.
no, it's okay. I like reader Skeeter.
I
just
I like
interpret.
I like hearing that you were
Is that
absolutely
like the Harry
smitten.
Potter? Is that like the Harry Potter movie that like exaggerates everything?
Yeah.
Alright,
Reader Skeeter.
Yeah.
Brandon, his favorite ice cream is mint chocolate chip.
Wait, we were supposed to do both?
No.
Oh.
No, but we'll do both.
Why not? He doesn't know anything about me.
What?
I'm
An enigma.
Flip is Plano.
Plano.
Well, actually, he doesn't know where he was born. He doesn't know where he was born, but his parents are from Oklahoma. So he doesn't know if he was born in Oklahoma or Texas. He doesn't know if he was born in Oklahoma or Texas.
Probably.
favorite grip.
No, it's crazy.
Oh, hi Jake. I didn't know that you were here.
Yeah? What's up, dog? What's up, dog?
We're just discussing our life stories. You want to discuss yours with us right now?
We're not discussing our whole life story.
We ran out of stuff. Jacob wasn't interesting enough. The only thing cool about Jacob was that he likes cookies and cream ice cream and has a yellow lab. Wait, what's her name?
Wait, what?
What's the dog's name?
You didn't even say your dog's name?
What?
Layla.
Layla, do you spell it Laelah? How do you spell it?
He was exaggerating his whole story.
No, it was not. This was good reporting. Okay, what's your dog's name? How do you spell it?
Layla. He exaggerated that whole thing.
Lay what? I made your life interesting. You should thank me, Jacob. Okay. Layla, how do you spell it?
L-A-Y. Absolutely smitten, obsessed.
Let me know when you're.
Like, dude, that dog is
Layla. How do you spell that?
It's like, again, it's retarded. It's L-A. What else did you think it would be? Yeah.
He keeps calling me a tart.
Who? I never said that.
How embarrassing is that? Mr. Jacob here has been beat in ping pong by a retard.
Yeah, how do you feel,
Oh
bro?
my god, we're not starting this.
That's gotta hurt, man.
Did you not tell this to people like in the kitty or whatever?
Yeah, I did.
Dude, okay, so I played
We're
ping pong with Matthew earlier, and I was just like, it was like joke playing, like I wasn't playing at all. And he like got up like 12-5 or something, and then I was like, wait a second, what are we doing here? And I just came back all the way to 13, and he's like, all right, puts it on. I was like, we're not even halfway there. He's like, I don't care. I'm like, all right, we're done.
Wow. So, Jacklet, what a quitter.
Wait, what's your middle name? Sorry.
Robert.
I'll be back.
Really?
Yeah, it is.
It is. My first name is Robert.
What?
We're the Roberts.
We're done.
Yeah.
It is.
I didn't realize.
Robert Gray.
What's yours?
Robert Braden Bond.
Why do you go by Braden?
My dad's name is Robert.
Why don't you want to be Robert with him?
They could have called me Robbie, but they decided to call me Braden.
Robbie Williams?
Wait, what's your first name?
My first name is Robert.
I call you Bob.
No way, your name is Robert.
Can I call you Bob?
I'm calling him Rob.
You call him Rob, dude. Dude, Rob.
Your name is Bob.
Bob, dude. We can call him Bob.
My pastor from one of
Okay, next exercise.
Yes, sir.
What am I like as a person?
Very calm.
Little soft spoken, very calm and mellow.
I feel like
Just
one
for
of the
first
biggest things in therapy is just being able to listen. And you seem good at it.
What else am I like as a person?
Patient.
Observant.
Great baseball player.
Yeah, you're a really good volunteer.
It was softball.
Oh, stop.
Come on. We're coming. Let's take calculating.
I'm good at algebra 1.
What do I like to do?
What, currently? That's hard. Did you tell any stories?
You like to help children.
Make some guesses.
You like to work with kids. You enjoy playing and talking to kids.
Reach for something I didn't tell you about.
You
Like
Italy.
movies. Big
You
fan
like
of
to
cinema.
express your knowledge.
My bad.
You like teaching. Talking to young, dumb 18-year-olds.
You like cars.
Specifically moody.
One of the things that I like about myself is I have a sense of humor.
Why are you laughing when someone says that?
She laughs at everything.
How many of you picked up on that I have a sense of humor?
I did.
But nobody named that.
Think about
I didn't think about it in something that you like to do.
That was outside that dimension.
Yeah, no, we just kind of started on that.
It was wide open tonight.
Oh, I thought.
I like, well, what do you think I like to do for fun?
Watch movies.
Read a book.
You like to spend time with your wife.
What else?
Tell jokes.
Groom your full head of hair.
I like to go fishing.
Oh,
yeah.
What a cool guy.
And I like fishing because it's very relaxing.
Do you fly fish?
And what does that tell you then about another of my dimensions? Character quality.
You deal with a lot of stress.
Are you introverted?
I'm an introverted person. But the fishing tells you I have patience. I'm a very patient person, generally, not always. Not always. And somebody named reading, I like to read. What do you think I might like to read? What kinds of stories?
You like to read mysteries. Because you
You
have.
like to read about fishing?
I like John Grisham.
Hey, I was right.
But my most favorite topic or author is Louis L'Amour. Ever hear of him? He writes Western novels.
Tell me we get along great.
Why do I like Western novels? Because they're simple. Yeah.
They're very simple.
They're not complicated. They're not convoluted. You don't have to keep up with 20 different names. Or story plots, 4 story plots within one. None of that trying to figure out. It's straightforward. And the thing I enjoy most is they end well. Always. They're very predictable. The good guy wins. By the way, well, no, that's you all wouldn't know the answer. I'll ask you anyway. Do you know why the good guys in black and white old Western movies always wore white hats? And the bad guys always wore black hats?
To distinguish who's good and who's bad?
Partially.
I was gonna say that they said black was considered evil. It's a color of sin, and then white's considered a symbol of purity and innocence.
Well, there was something more concrete than that.
The race.
They didn't have zoom lens cameras. They're filming, and guys riding across the plain is way over there. You always see it's either a white hat or a black hat. You can always identify who it is. You can always identify the good guy. There will be only one guy wearing a white hat, and it's always the good guy. So you know the good guys. Well, I'd like for you all to form another group of 4. Different group, except you are the same. Stand up, form a group of 4.
Name your Coed. It's a group of 4.
The new
Right.
Mason was
Hey,
Christian. We wanted to be able to take part as best as we can. Thanks, buddy.
Hello.
Okay, I'd like for you all to do for each other what I asked. Yes,
We make 2 groups of 5.
sure, 2 groups of 5, good.
Come on, Keith.
I'd like for you all to do for each other what I asked you to do for me. So here it is. Whoever would like the feedback, you can tell your group, I'll be first, or you volunteer. And the job of the other 3 or 4 will be to tell you what kind of person they think you are, what kind of qualities you have, what you like to do. The same thing I ask you all. You do for each other now. Go ahead. What kind of person is that that's standing there? What do they like as a person?
Yes.
I guess.
So, I guess you kind of
Can't
like.
say anything.
Oh, yeah, you're right. So you like the age?
Don't sit on the arm.
I thought we were doing this all. So do I tell them about myself or do they? have to
No.
tell me?
Hey, everybody, I left you hanging there. You just volunteer that I'd like the feedback, and the other members of the group give feedback. You don't tell them anything about yourself other than when they finish with you, then you can tell them whether or not what they were accurate about, and what they were not accurate about. Now, was clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
You got it.
So basically, so it's like, you're like, if there's someone who volunteer, but you'll immediately. So
Mary is like.
So.
It's like a couple white things.
So you guys have been like try to.
I think he also enjoys.
I think that you are.
You're shy to an extent.
But I'm sorry.
Also, speaking out when you're angry. But not together, they're
Traffic violations.
Bro.
Yeah, I like
New person, you don't know, and you are very loud.
You are very, you're sure.
I like basketball.
About World War II.
You like to know.
Like, what should I give the people?
This one you don't decide, we're finished.
Okay.
Okay.
That makes it easy.
I do like to know, because that was great.
Bro,
I think
think it was pretty accurate, even though that Keith was going back on and basically would say something. That is kind of my personality. And so, I don't regret it. I think that was wrong. I don't read as many books as you might want. Yeah, that's what I, yeah. And I think Jacob's right too. Yeah, you're pretty much right. You guys pretty much nailed it. So,
Then we do something else.
I guess. You can do it, I guess. Keith is definitely, he's sort of quiet. He's always thinking about something. He already, he has the answer, but he's not listening to it right That's a great answer.
He doesn't like the byproducts.
I think you also.
This is really positive. I like all of these things. I feel like you care how others think and feel about it. It's not positive. I did as well. That's how I was able to.
I feel like dress plays.
You like dancing?
Yeah.
I don't know if he likes playing, but I know it's funny. I can definitely see him.
Or maybe,
I don't know.
or maybe an orchestra playing the violin.
That's true. I can see him up on the church stage.
Or like dancing.
We do love groups that like today that you were talking about.
Yeah. You what?
I said you do love groups that you were talking about today, so good.
But that's not necessarily a compliment.
Friendships are extremely.
But he's kind of picky about it.
What do you think of the word you use?
Well, I feel like if they're open to him, then he'll be open to like. Well,
I mean, you should ask him.
That's a hard question. I'm not really sure. I always see it just about anything.
I do like. I don't like being. I do. I'm kidding. It's weird. I don't like being like actually like it.
I do like cold play.
Being like on stage is not in my comfort zone, but I enjoy being. I am pretty good at it. I do what people think, and friendship is important. As long as they're open to anything that we're. I don't exactly like reading. I prefer to myself to do more, but I had to have like dyslexia, but I don't have this because I was so they just never I don't love reading. I'm trying to get myself to read.
So what's considered you
Go.
What do you got?
I think Mason's very competitive. He wants to win stuff. Like when he goes to play basketball, he's like, we're gonna win. You know?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm working on that. It's hard to stand there and not like get anybody.
Whatever you do, you put your effort in.
Yeah, that's true. He said that. You're definitely like softer than you are my favorite. Like I'm okay. You're like, you definitely have like a way about you that's like. Yeah, you're like you have like you're a little bit not like in a bad way.
Not really.
Like if you're ever like to any area of the law, that's how I'm telling you.
Really? Yeah.
If you don't like
You're free.
I think I agree with that too. Once you know what it is,
especially if you want it, you kind of want to be on top.
Yes, he's a.
What do you think? That's partial.
Played lacrosse.
He plays lacrosse, I know that.
I actually thought that was a joke. I was like, gallon sweet tea. I was like, maybe 3 or 4 people.
Love sweet tea. Okay, now how do we?
I don't like being sort of sports.
Yeah.
Shoot, I guess.
Not really, but I like
Like, is it like common or like?
Yeah, I was like, I don't know, everyone has one. You know, you gotta put up that wall.
Well, no, you don't have
I like it because you have a really contagious. What was that first joke I just boarded? I forget.
That's true, yeah.
I don't remember, man.
I know at least some. I hear something about you, but I feel like you don't like. If you live in the East,
I used to mow
I
every
think
time
it's hard.
I press it. Then you go.
Yeah.
Trust just.
Yeah.
When they break that Best Buy
Every one of those, man.
That's probably.
Everyone.
Yeah, I mean, us four have heard that.
Yeah, except right day bars.
Yeah, I've heard this one. Maybe like trust issues, I'm not sure.
Also,
Is that right?
I don't know.
Only with the.
Maybe kind of.
I feel like, yeah, but I feel like you said, like, you guys feel like we're honest enough time to, you know.
I don't know what's like.
Cody's hard because I feel like we're accurate, that he kind of stays back. Like, he's there, and he's doing stuff, but he's not like he's there.
Oh, there's Drew.
But he's not sharing.
Stand 35.
He drove his phone, he thought someone was him, and he started tailgating her.
Yeah, you don't say it's funny.
The one time he drove me home.
This is the only person I've heard the life story. So
We all have a pretty life story.
yeah.
Well, that's part of this.
I love people, but only
Think about the Cowboys.
I gotta get away. Mainly because of
I knew it in the last.
my main escape is the car.
I thought somebody already said
Just not
I love
Why?
I've been told by multiple people that I have a great.
Like you set it up for a car.
The more tired I get, the more.
Sometimes I go to the
Exactly.
We gotta.
I know you make it look. I feel like that's all I think. Whenever you start. He looks like 24-hour shifts and shit.
last week, I was doing.
Like
Marvel
Marvel
movies.
movies.
Like, I get.
You're like perfectly fit. You don't get to be part of that.
Regular cool guy.
You do politics? Like politics?
Yeah, there you go. See, it's.
It's hard. Well, you haven't heard about it. You like that.
I'm just trying to
Not unless we're
What? Shut up, Green.
Not more
Constantly.
I think that's true, yeah. That's
I don't know, some people just think about like when someone's talking.
or some people think about stuff that doesn't matter.
Yeah, so you said chocolate. Like, I feel like constantly.
Grant, that's what you make him on.
And it really depends on what you think, cause like saying people thinks everything.
Yeah.
Like, you already-
Maybe overload.
Little bit.
We're just around.
Does he live there currently?
Yeah, I don't know.
How long?
People require some patience.
And our biggest person.
Right? You like activity.
You like.
I wish I could do sports, but my knees. Sometimes, yeah.
You like, you're always on the.
My left knee is dislocated 3 times. Half hours at a time.
I also like to say,
Nope.
Yeah, we did that stuff. Also, tracking zones. Yeah.
you like to play with Lego.
Seriously, I looked over, you know?
I don't like.
What do you do? Like, I guess this is a question. That's like after 10, right?
Yeah, we gotta.
I mean, it's straight, my computer.
We got some stuff, but we didn't get a lot of stuff. It was you earlier. So you like. Yeah, but like you watch like you get like sports and not play sports.
And,
Yeah, especially when you're doing basketball, skateboarding, running, like all sorts of things.
Are you good? Let me go while you real good.
The group tape is too good.
That is great.
I think I have a picture of my mom, so I can get it, I'll show it to you.
I want to see it, but I don't want to see it. I'll send it to the group chat.
Like, one leg was like this, and I felt like he was literally.
That's not right.
Just sit there.
I don't like those.
Yes,
I don't like cats really.
Yeah, that was nice. Yeah, I'll do that. But,
You're awkward.
yes, what? So, eat, right?
What?
I was not
The noise you made.
You know, what's in software now? All that rap is
I like. Who's your favorite artist?
Yeah. I told you I was good at it. I told you I was. I knew someone would do. Yeah, I know. I told you I was good at it. I can't seem to find all the time.
I actually,
I'll get them back to.
this is one that's like, I was in a wilderness, I used to go there. She was there while I was there, but she got kicked out. Yeah, I have.
That hurts?
Yeah. Yeah,
That sounds terrible.
I was only there with her for like 2 days.
You did it too first.
I barely touched it.
I barely touched you.
But yeah.
Sounds terrible.
Yeah, she was like,
I knew that.
yeah, that was almost 4 years ago. That was almost 4 years ago.
But in her while,
When she was on
Yeah,
Dr. Phil, that thing came out.
That's where Dr. Phil's first said.
He really was on Dr.
Yeah, but now she's like crazy on Spotify, so the music is trash. Like, I checked it out the other day, just like see how many like followers she has. She has like for like 3 million monthly.
All rap music is trash.
I don't know if that's it. Like we say like sound quality. Like,
What's it about?
I don't know what it is.
Drugs,
It's like kind of
money.
I like the sound.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like the message they send is terrible. That's why I don't listen. Christian rap. Not Christian rap, bro.
It's not because
Hey
it's
guys,
I listen to
finish
gospel.
up in another 3 or 4 minutes.
See, I listen to gospel music. All right, come in. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure.
Oh, yeah. Dude, I thought he was about to be you. I like that stuff.
I used to listen to all the time.
A little bit. I like a couple of songs.
Yeah, I feel
I really
that,
like
but
just
then I'm like,
like
I feel that, I'm
stuff.
like, that like worldly.
But yeah, I listen to a couple of songs. I listen to some. That's it. Like I'll actually listen to the words and like. No,
It's like, I know.
Rap music.
Like, everyone was like, when you say great, it's not that bad. Okay, well then who do you?
That's super hard to do something. I don't really have like one specific.
Have you listened to Donda?
What is that? Yeah. He's okay. He's okay. He's at the special.
Baby Bag.
Donda.
I forget who's down here.
Donda was.
Oh, yeah, I haven't heard it.
I'm gonna go.
Alright,
See you later.
It's a joke that
Okay, this is a place where we can stop.
Yes, sir.
You all
Country trash.
Any country after that.
One other thing.
Ow.
Just stay where
Gosh.
you're stay where you're
Ow.
You guys, listen up.
Take a break. But I'd like to feedback, what was it like for you to receive this kind of feedback? Just popcorn it.
It was incredibly interesting to see how other people see.
Sounded shocking.
Eye-opening.
It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird.
What else comes to mind? What was like for you, get this kind of feedback?
Accurate. Yeah.
People are accurate?
Yes.
Very.
Would have been nice if like they wrote on something and then gave it to you, because like being put on the spot like that, everyone just looking at you. Yeah, but if everyone just like looked at you and like wrote something down really quick and just gave it to you.
That'd be even creepier though, like somebody,
like that.
like Mason, would you rather them do this? It's like,
Maybe this would be a great idea. Not now. But at some point, tomorrow or next day or next week, maybe you could pick a time when you all exchange notes. Just whatever comes to your mind, something you'd like that person to know about how you feel about them.
Nothing but good or bad.
We did that at my young one camp called affirmations,
Yeah,
and like you wrote something.
affirmations are not, they build up.
Yeah.
That would be a rule, No, put down. That could be very productive in your group.
We had little taggies up on the wall, and like, we'd write something, at least to
Put it
everyone.
in the sack. Anything else come to mind about, getting this kind of feedback? Uncomfortable? Yeah, it is. Can be uncomfortable.
I think we saw that who's an extrovert, who's introverted. And I found I was the only extrovert in my group.
Okay, let's take a 10-minute break and we'll start again.
Hey, Gary.
Sweet.
I'll tell them my break and I'll bring it back. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Do you like to remember that? That like.
Guys, we're gonna take less than a 10-minute break because I need to show you a video on my computer before we leave, or before I leave. So take your break and come right back.
How much is less than 10 minutes?
Let's go with 3 minutes.
3 minutes?
I need to show you a 3-minute video and.
Okay, so
So 3 minutes.
that would mean that's a 7-minute break, 3-minute video, let's go.
I did that only before you moved in.
I don't do that very good. Very cheesy.
Yeah, that's
I just remember, like, I'm pretty sure it says something like.
I'll tell you that.
The first joke I got,
Shall not be
that, like,
bad.
in the meeting, I was like, oh, it's got a dad sense.
I didn't know pressure for like.
Yeah.
My grandma still eats her like this. She like like the cheese cracker or the peanut butter.
Do you wanna hear a joke that I
They still
told
eat
my
those and
dad,
her peanut M&Ms.
like, just out of nowhere?
Her
We
diet.
were talking about someone who's
So silly.
and she is a lesbian, so I
Yeah,
told
it's not
her
just
I was
like
lesbian,
when you
and my dad just like, it doesn't hit it at all. It doesn't hit consumers as hard as what it was. It's genetics.
But I did know some kids who
He didn't
only
grow up
ate
around
cracker and donuts. That's all we know. I mean, they have.
Domino's is underrated.
You should get some. On like fried food. I don't want fried food.
They're not cheesy.
Sometimes fried food.
Bars.
I'm not about that.
Pizza. You drive, go into the pizza place. All the people. I got permission from my best friend, Maddie.
Oh,
Wow.
No, that's no behavior.
Whose seat is this?
Oh, you getting up my
We eat all the cake.
No, stop.
I'm just gonna eat them.
You made me drop my food.
No, you dropped your own food before I touched you, that's your fault.
I wish I could.
I didn't affect your food in any way, shape, or form. You just dropped it yourself.
I'll just start my hand.
That's okay.
Is it the nail video?
Okay, if you want to get my son laughing, you should talk to my son about this video. He can quote the whole video. It's hilarious. He thinks it's so funny. The fact that a 7-year-old thinks this is funny is, I think it's funny.
Yeah, there's also a paper that I saw.
Which video was this?
What?
Which video was this?
This one, it's not about the nail? Have you seen this one?
So we're not watching the video with
That is-
the girl with the nail.
Yes, that is the video.
Oh, we're watching that?
Yes.
It is. It is so true.
It is true. I'm a woman and I believe that it's true. That's how true it is.
It is so true.
We're gonna suck out. It has no signal.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Oh, why is it so?
Have a nice life.
You do my shit.
Yeah.
Why is it so? Hey, what did you do to the settings on that chair?
He went to home.
You won't understand. You put it testing by settings.
Secret sauce on the chair. You put it.
I had it on like super straight.
Like, there's the right saddle makes it where it doesn't get any more. The left one. The left one makes it when you get back.
Hey, Bob. Bob. Bob.
I thought you were saying mom, and I'm like, the mom friend.
No.
Why would you answer if he said mom?
Because I am a mom friend, you know how many times I've described that?
I do that to Matt. Matty has never
No, I
said
said Bob.
I can't hear you.
Bob.
Yeah.
You did not say
Mom.
Also, why would you answer that? That's
How's
rude.
it going?
How's it going, man?
Are you Bob?
Ron, it's going pretty okay. It's a good day.
I'm glad.
Oh.
My pastor at a church called Mercy Church. He used to. You don't call us both Bobby.
Really?
He was the word, I hated that guy. I hated that guy so much.
What's that thing again?
Because Bane's supposed to be this huge dude, not just some asthmatic. I didn't understand. He was dude, no, he was not.
Bane's supposed to be
Bane's supposed to be abnormally huge, like big, giant, huge.
He's like jacked up on his
like
juice.
biggest muscle builder in the world times 2 at least. Big dude.
Bane is supposed to be chunky.
He's supposed to be a men's bodybuilder. Not like
quadruple
my dad in a freaking asthma mask. That's not how it is.
He's supposed to be.
He's supposed to be a big dude.
Did you know where I was?
What if Bane had an asthma?
Oh, yeah. No, I was talking about.
Subvert
I thought you were talking about like
expectations.
far back.
Bring in the mask and just look
And the Joker, why are you scratching me in my arm?
This is what makes it He got that one, right?
Well,
I never really heard of. Oh, yeah. Right?
Joker's supposed to be Heath Ledger, change my mind.
Whoa.
They should have
Supposed to be what?
What? He's like, what?
Heath Ledger was a Joker, and that's what
And he doesn't want
Hey, Heath.
Hey, Colby, will you get the lights for me? Heath Ledger was the Joker in the movie. I used to love the treasure and playing the Joker, the combination of that Ledger.
I'd like for you.
What the? What?
Let's go.
He also he 10 things I gave him.
Hey, when the video's over, I'm going to add, what's the message?
okay.
What's the message?
We don't have sound. Sorry, let's try
This
this.
is very moving.
So you guys can do this.
And I can just feel it, like literally
Can you
feel it
start over?
in my head.
Yes, I can.
And
I don't know why we don't have sound coming through, but.
Can you all hear?
not particularly, it's just, there's this pressure, you know? And sometimes it feels like it's right up on me. And I can just feel it, like literally feel it in my head, and it's relentless. And I don't know if it's gonna stop. I mean, that's the thing that scares me most, is that I don't know if it's ever gonna stop.
Did you have a nail in your head?
It's not about the nail.
Are you sure? Because, I mean, I'll bet if we got that out of there.
Stop trying to fix it.
No, I'm not trying to fix it. I'm just pointing out that maybe the nail is causing.
You always do this. You always try to fix things when what I really need is for you to just listen.
See, I don't think that is what you need. I think what you need is to get the nail.
See, you're not even listening now.
Okay, fine, I will listen, fine.
It's just, sometimes it's like, there's this achy, I don't know what it is. I'm not sleeping very well at all. My sweaters are snagged, I mean, all of them.
Sounds really hard.
Ow!
Come on, if you would just
Don't.
It was a minute 40, and it was like not three.
I don't want you to fix it, I just want you to listen to me.
Okay, what's the message?
Yes.
She doesn't want him to fix the problem. She just wants him to listen.
Well, I think even
What's
her
the message
listening
to
him,
us?
it's literally just listening.
To listen. Maybe she should.
And, okay,
But
we're
listening goes
we're
both
supposed to
ways.
listen. What have you learned from this segment that you're supposed to do besides listen?
Maybe examine yourself to see what could be causing problems. So you could be, like, if you were the girl, then maybe you could figure out that maybe I should remove the nail.
Don't try to solve the other person's problem. And that's the most natural thing we do. Somebody has a problem, we have a fix. The problem is, we have trouble solving our own problem. Right?
Yeah.
But we have a lot of answers for other people's problems.
Sometimes I try to solve other people's problems because their problem makes me anxious rather than out of pure concern. So I kind of feel
I didn't hear the last one.
like I'm kind of like codependent on how someone else feels. So instead of listening to them, I just try to fix their problem because it makes me feel better.
I think you should continue that or stop doing that.
Oh, that's fine.
Sometimes I try to fix problems, and people I know, because I'm so worried about them, that I know that, or I think that if I help them fix this problem, they'll do better. And I should probably stop doing it.
But if they are like Superman, we don't need to fix their problem, do we? They're already capable of fixing the problem.
What if they're capable of it, but they don't want to?
You can't force someone to change. And I've tried it for years with people, most especially, you can't, my mother, you can't, no matter how hard you try to help someone, no matter how hard you try to love someone, if they don't want to change, there is absolutely nothing you can do, and you're just gonna run yourself ragged trying to fix them.
Because they don't know.
But they don't know there's a problem, or they completely refuse to do anything about it.
Yeah, that's how my brother is.
What was one positive happening in that segment?
Who stopped and listened to
He finally got her message, which was, listen to me. Don't solve my problem, don't try to do that. Listen to me. He heard her message. But it didn't last long. Everybody needs to be heard. They need to hear what's inside them. One wonder why we do that. Why do we tend to try to so quickly solve people's problems?
Because you want to help.
And then that is the least help. Stop trying to solve their problem. It's the least helpful thing you can do.
Even though it seems like the logical solution.
What have I already shared with you that keeps people weak?
You said that when,
You're always doing stuff for them.
yes, if you do something what someone,
If you do something for,
if you do something for someone where they're already capable, you are telling them that they are incapable and they're not able to do it themselves.
you keep them weak. Do we really believe that people are capable of more than they seem to be capable of doing? Do you really believe that? Deeply enough that you live it out? Which would mean you don't go around trying to solve people's problems. What you do is you invest your energy in hearing their message. What's inside? Can you hear what's inside? People are hurting. They need to be heard. You may be the only person that stops in their day to listen to them. I was in my office in the College of Education on the UNT campus. It's about 1:15 in the afternoon. I'm going to lunch. From my office, I've got to walk down this long hallway on the third floor of Matthews Hall. And I step out into the hallway, and the last classroom door on the left, there is a young lady standing down there like this. She's not standing, she's kneeling. Right next to the classroom door. Everybody's in classes now. Nobody else in the hallway with us. I started walking down in the hallway, and there was just something about her that I felt I should check on her. And as I got closer to her, I started getting counter messages from myself. Gary, she has not invited you into her life. Don't bother her. I started to walk past her, but I could not. I just found myself turning a couple of steps over beside her, and I said, "Excuse me, you seem troubled." She turned around, threw her arms around my neck, and started crying. And I said, "This is no place to talk out here in the hallway." I introduced myself, and I said, "I've got an office down there. Would you like to go down to my office and talk?" And she said, yes. Shorten the story, she's standing there planning her suicide. How did I know that? I didn't. but I have learned to trust what I'm drawn toward. I have no rational reason for it, I'm just drawn toward reaching out to this. And I have discovered that they're everywhere. They're out there everywhere waiting for somebody to touch them with a few words. When is the last time you touched or noticed the person who checked you out in Lowe's or the Kroger? Think about it. They check out hundreds of people. Whoever asked them, how's your day going? Nobody. They go all day and nobody asks them about them. Try this. The next time somebody is checking you out, ask, how's your day going? You'll be amazed. They will look at you. Just that. How is your day going? Or I was in Lowe's. I was checking out. It's about 4:30, and I said to this young lady as she was checking me out, "How's your day going?" And she said, "Okay." And I said, "Are you on the downside of your day, work day, or the beginning?" And she said, "Well, I'm on the downside of this one." And I said, "So what you just said, it sounds like you have another job." She said, "Yes. At 5 o'clock, I will leave this job and I will go to my second job." And I said, "But you've already worked all day long." "Yes." "And you're going to your second job?" She said, "Yes." And I said, "What time will you get home?" And she said, 8 hours later. And I said, "Wow. You're already tired." And she said, "Yes." "And you're going to a second job, and then you go home. You're probably exhausted." And she said, "Yes." And I think I touched her. Remember, this would go back 4 or 5 years ago, when you go into Walmart and there's somebody there to check you in if you bring in something back. I had purchased a garden hose, brought the thing at Walmart, brought the thing home, screwed it on the faucet, turned the faucet on, and about this far from the faucet, water comes out. It's not supposed to do that. So I unscrew that and I tried to corral this hose. Have you ever tried to put a new garden hose back in the little package like it
It
is?
is not fun.
You can't do it. So I've got this thing like this, and I dump it in the trunk of my car, and I drive to Lowe's or Walmart, and I get it out of the car, and I go in, and there's a guy to check me in, and he's sitting in a wheelchair. And I'm cradling this garden hose, and he fills out a little slip for me, and as he's doing that, I said, "How's your day going?" If I didn't know it was wrong, I would kill myself. And I said, "Sounds like you're in the pits." And he said, "It's a bad day." And we talked the next 45 minutes with me holding the garden hose. It's the only time I've ever had a counseling session while I was holding the garden hose. And this guy shared his anguish. He was hurting. And what he needed to talk about was when he was living in Cuba. And he asked to be allowed to learn to drive a truck because he figured he could make a good living that way. And they punished him for asking. And the punishment resulted in injury to his spine, and now he's in a wheelchair. What's my message to you? Why am I telling you? We are supposed to notice people, and we are supposed to be givers. Giving attention, the gift of our listening. Now we're back to where we started, aren't we? And it doesn't have to be long. It can be like the lady who said, I'm on the downside of this day and I'm going to another work day. But to know that somebody noticed me is helpful. If there is somebody who cares enough about me to listen. Let's practice listening. Everybody needs this sheet. You pass it down around that way. It's going to be a great temptation for you to look at that sheet, so turn it over. We'll get to it. I just want you to have it in your hand. No, I think I want you to look at the sheet. There are 4 healing or helpful or therapeutic messages. And the first one is right in the middle of the page. These are 4 essential messages in communication. I'm here. I will be fully present and will not allow myself to be distracted. I am here. I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to be present. I will not focus on any other person. You are in my presence. I'm going to get lost in being with you. I'm here. Second message, I hear you. I will listen carefully and will try hard to hear everything you say. I won't listen to myself. I won't listen to answers I would like to give you. That's listening to yourself. I will listen so carefully that I will hear what is beneath the words. Third message, I understand. I will listen so carefully that I will be able to tell you what you are saying and feeling. As in the video, she kept telling him, quit trying to solve my problem. You need to listen to me. And he finally got the message, and he listened to her. Listening is not worth a dime until you listen carefully enough that you can tell the other person back what they said to you. Somebody tell me what you've done today in the Coed.
I got up, I called my friends for their birthday, I put my makeup on, took a shower, took a shower, put my makeup on, had breakfast and snacks, got the cake boss ready, and drove to church.
So you had a very busy day before it even got started.
Tuesday.
You had 10 different things to do. Get ready, breakfast, get there on time. Did I hear you?
Yes, sir.
Hearing is, listening is, and hearing fully is like love. Love is not worth a dime until you give it away. I can sit here and just love you so much, and I just love you so that I never tell you I love you. I never say a kind word to you. My love is not worth a dime until it's given away by some loving expression, some words of affirmation or love or affection. I'm here, I hear you, I understand. If I deliver those 3 messages, you will know I care. If I'm successful in communicating these first 3 messages, the other person will know you care. Rule of thumb, when a person is drowning, is no time to try to teach him how to swim. What does that mean?
It means when somebody's really struggling, you don't need to be like, all right, this is how you fix your problem. You know, they're not going to really be in a place where they can listen to you and or even follow instructions. And so what you need to do instead is just listen.
You need to save them.
You need to save him.
When Peter was drowning after he failed to have faith because of the waves, Jesus didn't say, well, you know, have more faith and you won't sink. He grabbed him. He saved him. And then he told him all that stuff, but
You need to get them out of the situation they're in so they can get to a point where you can teach them or show them what to do.
How we respond a lot of the times is kind of like standing on the side of the swimming pool and a child falls in the water and starts going down. And the response is to the person standing is to yell to the child, get your head up, get your head, kick, swing your arms, kick you're going down again. Nobody would do that. You jump in the swimming pool and you rescue them, and when do you worry about teaching them how to swim?
Do you know that they're okay?
Maybe 3 days later when they calm down from that experience.
Once they're not afraid of the water.
You don't worry about trying to teach them how to swim, you rescue them. Words of affirmation or emotional acceptance is like that. It rescues them from drowning emotionally. When you listen to someone's, maybe that's a message I'm supposed to stop.
Keep going.
When we listen to somebody's deeper emotional feelings, it's like rescuing them from drowning. Have you ever had an experience of someone listening to you so deeply that you felt they were lost in hearing you? They had lost their awareness, or maybe we should ask you, have you ever had that kind of listening experience that you lost yourself in the listening to this other person, and you were not aware of people coming and going? There were no other thoughts entering your mind. You were so focused on this person, you were lost in this experience. Have you ever had that feeling? Those are rare happenings, but that's what these 4 messages are saying. I'm here fully for you. I hear you completely. I hear only you right now. I care so much about you at this moment. I will give you my full attention. And I will listen so carefully that I can repeat back what I heard you say. There are no, I don't want to go there yet. I think what I want to do is demonstrate listening, but it won't seem like listening at first. But let's do the exercise first. Everybody stand up. And just turn to the person next to you there. Everybody needs a partner. If you need to move around, here's a guy that does it.
Take another person.
I think it's gonna come out
It
easy.
should be.
Okay, now everybody has a partner. Let me demonstrate what I'd like to do. If I walked up in front of a mirror and you were the mirror, and I raised that hand, I would see the reflection. Got the idea? You mirror the person. No, from this point on, no talking. Face your partner. Put your hands up like this. Put your hands up and start. Nobody talk. Start. Okay, you can stop.
Thank you.
Don't sit down, don't sit down.
I didn't sit down.
Simon didn't say.
Simon didn't say.
What just happened?
That was super
There
cool.
was
I
no,
wiggled my ears.
there was no sound, and I said, you can stop, and what happened?
There's some.
You said,
Please stop moving, please stop.
There was this explosion of sound. I said, you can stop, and everyone, and laughed.
Really not that funny.
What was the cause of the sound?
Doors holding it in.
Anxiety. You did not feel comfortable doing that. And you got tense, and I said you can stop, and out came sound. Because you were anxious. That's what is relaxing. There is meaning in whatever we do, folks. Listen for the meaning. Now, you need a new partner. Let's do this one more time. Everybody get a new partner.
I was previously called by another man.
Already called.
Sorry, I already have another suit.
No, you said wait.
Okay.
You ever done
Face
other
your
ones?
partner.
What?
Everybody face your partner. Put your hands up. And start. Okay, you can stop. Stay with this
I hate
partner.
that. I'll stand again.
Stay with this partner.
Thumb drug.
I should have slapped myself on
Wax on. Back on. You know, can't side to side, up and down. Thumb drug.
We are, each one of us, at all times, by what we do and say and what we're feeling, we're telling other people, if there are people around, what we're like as a person. Everything we do says something about what I'm like as a person. if that's accurate, you've been with two people now. Would you share with your partner the differences you noticed in the two people you've been with? And what the differences were? It could be that one, you've been with two people and neither one of them would let you get in the lead. They kept the lead, they kept doing it. They would never stop and let you pick it up and start. Or maybe as you did this, you looked right into their face and you got a reaction of how they were feeling or something. But you learned something about this person each time. Would you share what that was with this person? Go ahead. What'd you learn about these
More
two
reluctant
people?
you're more reluctant to do this exercise again after you knew what it was.
Yeah, it was a weird exercise. I don't know what it was. I'm also so tired right now, and I'm about to drink like 3 bangs whenever I leave. So I'm about to drink at least 2 or 3 bangs when I leave.
2?
Oh, maybe even 3.
Why? You good
Have you read a bang?
What?
Have you ever had a bang? They're 300 milligrams of caffeine, which is the same thing as drinking six cans of Coke.
Why would you do that?
Or 3 monsters.
Wait, why would you do that?
Because I've had 5 hours or less of sleep for about a week.
Why'd you do that?
Maybe I worked a 12.5-hour shift while doing Gap and doing college.
Why would you do that? It's your fault.
It's material. Why? Why?
It's because it's a valid thing to ask at this point.
Yeah, I know. I'm just so tired.
Doing whatever. I don't know this though.
Bruce, something popped up on your screen. I don't know what it is. Something popped up on your
Do it as hard
screen.
as I can.
Accountable to you.
Oh.
I should have just.
No, it's the thing's working.
You could have copied me. I know, that's the point. Why, that's
It says it's on. It's going. It's fine.
Zero watchers and 0.
We like to sit down.
Somebody to grab it.
Yeah, that was the first thing I did.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I think we gotta.
Did you notice any differences in the way people put people hearing exercise?
Yes.
I taught Jacob karate.
Yes.
I taught him karate.
What were the differences?
Some are less,
Go ahead.
some are less, like wanting to take the lead, some like will just mirror you more than like trying to do stuff, like even, like at first when I stopped and I just waited for a minute, and he kind of sat there for a second, like, it wasn't, I don't know, but that was kind of different, and then also, some people can do weird things with their bodies.
Some people.
What made you start dying laughing?
Go ahead.
We were definitely more comfortable the second time around. I think I was, and so was Steve. We were more comfortable doing it because we did it before. It was hard to stop laughing.
Anybody else notice something different?
Some people are more reluctant to follow than other people. If you're leading, some people aren't as willing to do the mirror, the lines. People are just kind of following what they're leading.
I feel like Christian was more go with the flow and kind of stuff, but Evan, like I felt like I was on the clock. Like I had to
You felt on the spot.
Yeah. Well, with Christian, I felt more comfortable and more just kind of. I mean, it's just different. It wasn't worse. It was just different.
I'm glad you looked at it. Some people are more comfortable in their experiences and how they are, so in church, and some people are more willing to follow. And some people are a mix of both, depending on who they're at.
And some people aren't aware of their own needs. They have a need to be in charge. So they take off. Do it first. If you're one of those people, I hope you will become aware of your need to be in the lead or to take charge and try to temper that. You cannot hear the other person if you're in the lead. You only learn about the other person by giving them the gift of listening to what's going on in them. There's some really interesting research about communication. What carries the impact of a message? How does the message get from one person to another? What carries the impact of the message from person one to person two?
Emotion.
Words, posture.
Words, that's one way to get your message over.
Body language.
The whole body, you're saying.
Yeah, just someone said posture, the way your posture, how animated you are, your facial expressions. If you're talking like this with I can't do it because I can't do very emotional. So if you have a blank emotional face when you're trying to explain something to someone, or when you're listening to someone, they're really excited, like they're all vibrant and happy, and they're explaining to you that something you're excited about, you're just like, you're fidgeting, you're rolling your eyes, literally
You're not listening.
You're not listening, then they're gonna, I've seen it happen, you deflate them so fast.
There's some interesting research on this question, what carries the impact. And what has been found from the research is that words make up only 7% of the impact of a message. That should cause us to wonder if we're prone to use a lot of words. They only make up 7% of the impact of the message. The non-verbal part of language, tone of voice, spacing between words, that makes up 38% of the impact of a message. How much does that leave out of 100%? We got 7%. 55% carry the impact of the message. What is it that carries 55% of the impact of the message?
Your eyes. Face. Face.
The message itself?
Hold on just a minute. You said that as a question. Face?
Yeah. Then you look at when you're talking to someone.
Trust yourself. Trust yourself.
Okay.
What carries 55% of the message?
Face.
The face.
Yeah.
55% of the message is right here. Don't get lost in the words. It is the face that carries 55% of the message. Man, we have just scratched the surface. And I need to partially stop. How about if we just keep going right through dinner?
That's fine.
And we'll stop at,
Yeah, we have church at 7.
we'll stop at 10 o'clock tonight.
That's fine.
Yes.
I'm down.
Very chill.
Hey, you guys are good listeners, good listeners.
What do you got tonight, Mason?
I've got a lot more
That's what.
that I want to share with you, and we have another meeting. Is it the 7th of October? I think
Something like
that's
that.
right.
Yeah.
It's sometime within the beginning and the end of this program.
Yeah, you're so accurate.
Wow. That narrows it down.
That was true. Never done.
Well, to pull this together, real quickly to 4 people. You 4, that's up your set. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and you 3. Would you all share with each other, something you're going to take away with you when you walk out that door? What are you going to take away with you from this experience today? What did you learn? What can you use? Go ahead.
Jacob, what are you doing on your phone, dog? Come on, bro. Come on, bro.
Wait on the phone?
Oh, sorry.
I will beat you with your phone.
Okay.
Have you seen that, like that one video where you get hit in the face with the energy drink can?
No.
Okay.
We gotta talk about what.
All right, you go first, buddy.
No, has anyone seen the video of the kid that drinks the water bottle in 1 second?
Yeah.
That's a pretty cool video.
Speaking of videos.
I actually can't do that, but one time I showed
Okay,
it.
let me interrupt you. Let's summarize the experience, and that will remind people, though I had already forgotten that. If you're willing to, what was shared in your group? Somebody summarize for each group.
History isn't destiny.
History is not destiny. You can overcome your past. You can grow beyond. You can go beyond. What matters is what you do now. What you do now. Which one do I want to share with you? The most important thing may not be what you do, but what you do after what you have done. Did you get that? The most important thing may not be what you do, but what you do after what you have done. We all goof up. We all make mistakes. We all blow up. Oh, by the way, that reminds me, looking ahead, next time we get together, I think I'd like to go. I want to help you to recognize when you are 1 tick away from detonation. Anger. Now back to here. Where was I?
You were asking, you said the last rule of thumb, the most important thing may not be what you do, but what you do after you've done. That was from the point they said that your history isn't your destiny.
Let me go through that one more time. The most important thing may not be what you do, but what you do after what you have done. Don't raise your hand, but how many of you just thought of somebody that you said something, you blew up at them, you got angry, you yelled at them, whatever, you did something hurtful, you ignored them, whatever. How many of you had somebody come to mind? If you had somebody come to mind before this day is up, you need to contact that person and say, I wish I had said, instead of, or when I blew up at you this morning, let me complete that for you. When I blew up at you this morning, I'm sorry I did that. Forgive me for doing that. I wish I had said, I was frustrated, or I wish I had said, I don't wanna go any further with that discussion, with this discussion. I wish I had said, what you said to me was hurtful, and I just yelled at you because I wanted to hurt you back. You got the idea, folks? You corner them, you catch them on the way out, wherever you see them. You call them, because you need to take care of that. In fact, that's one of your assignments. You will practice that. The most important, and when I come back, when I see you again, I'm going to ask, how many of you follow through on that? Most important thing may not be what you do, but what you do after what you have done. I'm thinking about one of my daughters that, I came home from work, I was tired. She was at the time, I think, 10 or 12 years of age. I walked into the house and could tell instantly my wife had headed up here with our daughter. And in about 30 minutes, I had headed up to here with our daughter. And the next thing I knew, I was yelling at her. If you don't stop that, I will. And I don't believe in yelling. I've never recommended that anybody go home and yell at your kids. I don't believe that's very helpful. But here I was yelling at my daughter. But the most important thing was not what I did there. Most important thing was what I did later. A couple hours later, I'm sitting on the side of her bed and I said, Carla, this afternoon when I yelled at you, I know better than that. But at that moment, I was so angry at you, I couldn't think of anything else to do, so I just yelled at you. And my 10-year-old daughter laying there in bed looked up at me and said, Daddy, you could have said I'm mad at you, which is what I teach. And I had to be reminded of it. My child, we forget ourselves, folks. We all do it. We all make mistakes. The most important thing, though, may not be what you did, but what you do after what you said, what you did. That's your assignment. Somebody else share with us what you're going to take home. What you're going to take home with you.
Maybe to not try to fix other people's problems, but to listen to them.
Listen. You may save some people's lives by listening to them. Emotionally save their life. What else are you going to take home?
Listening is a gift.
Listening is a gift.
Don't get lost in the words.
Don't get lost in the words.
Be a telephone booth for someone.
Be a telephone booth. Affirm them. Encourage them.
Let them know you care.
Let them know you care. Folks, supposed to be givers. God created us for that purpose. Not just that purpose, that's one of our purposes. We are to be givers. Givers of our time. And we're yes, we're busy, but it doesn't take 2 minutes to say to a clerk, how's your day going? Or you're walking down the hallway and you see one of your friends and they seem down, you just sense that from them. And you just say, hey, hold on, man. Something's bothering you. What's going on? Pay attention. What else are you gonna walk on with? Maybe that's enough. Let's just stop here and I'll be back on, October the 7th. Have a good evening, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, well done, Jake.
You have to say bye. What are you doing, Jacob? We just talked about talking to people.
You just hung up on him?
No, I just said that class was done and like we have to
All
go.
right, Jacob, you guys hung out. You didn't say bye.
I mean, I don't really know how I was saying.
And you don't need to know somebody to say goodbye. Bye, Jacob. Have a good night.
Okay, we're done now, Mason.
Whose phone is this?
Guys, mine.
Why can't I throw it? I have faith that he will catch it.
Yeah, I know, but I don't have faith in
But.
I did bring
Jacob.